Hi, I'm Linda Deir, the author of Guided. Her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches. In Guided, my true life story is the winner of the 2017 International Body, Mind, Spirit Book Award. Since before I was 2 years old, I've seen, communicated with, and even photographed my spirit guide angels. In Guided, I use my own life as a template to teach you what I have learned from these loving, intelligent spirits. Most importantly, I show you how to make the connection to your own spirit guides and angels so you can live a guided life, a life free of fear and doubt, the life you intended to live before you got here. We did everything together. Our relationship was solid. I will take you back to the time in your young life when your relationship with your spirit guides and angels had already become solid. We did everything together. You were learning about yourself. You were talking to us all of the time as you explored and played in our presence. You told us everything you thought and felt. Then, people started asking you who you were talking to. We remember your feeling of bewilderment. So, let's get started. Your communication bridge to us was now well developed. Talking to us was normal as you applied most of what we were showing you to your playtime when you were inspired to try new things. There were no instructions or anyone telling you how to do any of these things. You figured it all out on your own. In fact, if anyone tried to tell you how to do something, it felt intrusive. We never told you how to do it, but we were there to help you figure things out when you asked. Your spirit was fully activated and our connection was strong. You never questioned this union we had. It was as natural as breathing. You loved all these activities that inspired you so much. Nothing was more important than waking up the next morning to play some more. Most of all, you loved your alone time as you pursued your next project. Because you were so open, we were able to deliver a constant stream of projects and events, igniting your curiosity, setting you on your higher learning journey. You were totally connected to us, and every moment was filled with discovering new things and figuring them out. You were amazing. Your connection to us was on automatic. It was both easy and challenging because everything you were learning encouraged you to learn even more. It was a driving force that put you in touch with your essence. This was the part that connected you to who you are and why you are here. This appeared in everything you did. However, at that time in your life, you didn't realize any of this. You were just going with the flow and living in the moment. Remember how that felt? You had become confident in yourself, but you didn't think about it that way. You were on a roll with no end in sight. However, you were not prepared for what was coming next when people started asking you questions about what you were doing and who you were talking to. Disrupted from your bliss, you withdrew in an attempt to hold on to your connection to us. You never expected that you would have to explain any of this. You never questioned your connection to us or all the things you were learning and discovering about yourself. In fact, Until this disruption started, you never even thought about explaining this to anyone. You knew you couldn't, even if you tried. For those of you who actually tried, it only caused more confusion for those who asked. You now became careful about who was watching you as you continued learning and communicating with us. You were aware that you had to hide all of this from everyone else. However, this disruption didn't stop you from pursuing your deep interest in what the other world offered you. Because of this disruption from other people, you were beginning to feel a sense of separation. You were being forced to be just here in this world and abandon everything else. It felt like an ultimatum. This didn't feel natural. In fact, it was irritating. You felt annoyed by the people around you. What had become so natural to you was now being threatened by everyone in this world. But none of this stopped you from learning the way you did, nor interfere with the solid connection you had with us. These were the new rules that you would have to live by when attempting to secretly live in two worlds simultaneously.
So let's go back to what they said first about we did everything together, and there's this enormous connection from the baby to their guide. So does a baby really realize that they're receiving guidance?
Yes and no. So a baby comes in, I talk about two worlds all the time. A baby comes in not knowing how to reason anything. They don't really know how to function in this world, but they come in knowing everything they need to know, all right? So they know what they know and they don't question it. Okay, from a reasoning standpoint, because a baby doesn't reason, they don't know they're receiving guidance. From a knowing part of them, the person they came in as, the baby, even though it's a baby, it knows. So it doesn't feel disconnected from its guidance, from the guidance that it came from all of the friends and spirit guides and angels and higher self and all the support they had before they came into this world. To them, it doesn't feel like they're two different places. To the baby, it feels like they're still one. Because after all, what you realize after living a whole lifetime here on the planet is you're not separate at all. You are one with everything. So you come from oneness and you go back to oneness. But while we're here, we live under the illusion of duality, of separation. So that's why, no, they don't see the difference. But yes, they do, because actually, eventually, they get, like in my case, I got interrupted at 20 months old and my life was threatened. So in that moment, I had a rude awakening about the fact that, I'm here and this is a hard place to be, and really, this can't be happening. When I compared it to where I had just come from, it was just too stark of a difference. In my case, it was abusive. Okay, so mine was a shocking difference. Not everybody gets hit with that, but in my case, that's why I can remember it so well, is because I was actually shocked into that moment so young in my life where I experienced both worlds radically.
All right. Now, the guides also said that at that age, your connection is kind of on automatic. So why don't people, as they get older, have that automatic connection? What got in the way along that time between a baby and an adult?
Well, again, it has to do with knowing. It's on automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to reason it. You don't have to justify it or compare it to something. You're not separate. You're one. So automatic is when you just, you don't question it. and you don't resist it. So that's the automatic part. When you become an adult, you learn how to be in this world, okay? And too many of us, instead of keeping this together while we're doing this, stepping into this world and acclimating to this world, we kind of throw this away. We throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, instead of keeping our balance and keeping both intact, okay? And letting them both, while we're learning this one, we use this as our foundation, as our, you know, our solid base, our connection to our spirit guides and angels and higher self and the universe. We throw that away because we're almost scared out of it many times. And in my case, I was so scared from what I realized was going on in this world that I was ultra sensitive and awakened to the fact that this was where I came from, and these were my guides when they showed up and appeared to me at 20 months old. There was no way, in my case, I could pretend anything else. It was the truth. It was my world. As I learned to acclimate to this world, I held on to this, okay? So some of us do, and most of us don't. And so this is about getting reconnected.
Good answer. So the guy said you become confident in yourself by going with the flow. A baby's always with the flow. They don't normally they don't worry about, what did I do yesterday? Did I do something wrong yesterday? Or what am I going to do tomorrow? They're always right now.
So what Ray's saying is they don't live in the past and they don't live in the future. They're always present, right where they're at.
Right. They're always present. So they're happy. Being present for them, for a baby, is being happy with the moment and in the moment. Okay? So does not being happy, when people are not happy with the present moment, does that mean they want it to be different? Or does it lead to doubt and stress because they're unhappy with the present moment?
It's all of that, Ray. Yeah.
I mean, people would like to be present.
It's the opposite of what the baby does, right?
Right.
Okay, so the whole point to this is it's about, you know, making that connection, keeping that connection going. Okay, let me grab something. The whole point to this is we did everything together. This is in My Guided Journey. This is the companion journal to Guided. And you can get this on my website for free as a free download. Get this. This will get you so you can begin to retrace your steps and remember how this actually played out in your own life so you can get back on track now, all right? And make this connection with your guides and really start having fun with your life, you guys. You're going to start living the life you intended before you got here. So it's about, the one we're talking about today is we did everything together. So what was that question, Ray? That's what made me think of it.
Right. So you're doing everything together in the present moment, in the flow,
yeah,
as a baby.
Yeah.
Okay? But a baby doesn't regret what they did yesterday. They don't worry about what they're going to do tomorrow. They're always present. So does not being happy with the present moment lead to the doubt and the stress later on in your life? You want the present moment to be different or to feel different.
Okay, that's true. And that I can't say it any better than that. That's exactly right. So what are you asking me? What the difference is?
I guess my question is now, did I answer my own question?
I think you probably did. The difference here is when you're in the present moment, you are connected. It's like taking yourself and plugging yourself into the wall of the universe, okay, of this connection. The only part that's missing at that point is you believing that when you get guidance, it comes through, that it was guidance. That it was guidance, and it didn't come from you, it came through you. And that's called discernment. So you learn how to decipher between, again, it's a balancing act. You're living in two worlds at the same time, okay? How well are you doing that or not? Are you okay, you came in with this, you've got this. A lot of people are overweighted in one or the other, okay? Over here, you'll run across the skeptics, people that laugh at you. In this world, they think that they really believe this is all there is. Well, they really miss the point. They are living under the conclusion that everything is separate. They're sold on the fact that they are a single entity and disconnected from everything. And that is not true. In fact, that really is what's wrong in our world. That's why it's not working. So until we realize that we are indeed connected, make that connection, start having that communication bridge, plugging yourself back into that universal energy pool, okay? That's really amazing. And then interfacing it with the world that you live in, will your life really make sense for the first time in your life? The one that you're living here right now in this world.
Okay, so babies have to have a very strong reason or circumstances to want the present moment to change. For instance, you, as a baby, were horribly abused. So you wanted the present moment to change, didn't you?
Well, I had just come from the other side, right? I was only 20 months old, what Ray's talking about. I talk about this in my True Life Story Guided, how this came about. And how the worst day of my life turned out to be the best day of my life, because I surrendered to asking. When I found myself in jeopardy and my life was threatened and I couldn't believe I was still here. I didn't want to be here. At 20 months old, could you imagine being abused that bad? So that's what my world was. And when that happened and they appeared and I made that connection, it was a game changer for me. At that point, I was aware and clear about the fact that I was not disconnected. I was not separate. I brought that with me. It was solid. And here I am in this world. Now, how do I do this? Once I met up with them, once that happened, I could do anything. There was nothing I couldn't do. That's what the connection feels like, you guys. When you make this connection, when I talked about earlier about having this confidence, that you don't think of it as confidence, it's just like something you have, something you came in with because you did. You came in with everything you needed, every skill, every talent that you needed. You brought it with you. And in my case, it didn't get shocked out of me. It got shocked into me, all right? I was so terrified that in my sincere asking, I made the connection and it changed everything, what they showed me and everything I learned in an instant, okay? You're gonna know it when it happens. I will tell you this, it will surprise you. In the moment that it happens, the very first time, it's like a bolt of thunder blowing through you. You just, whoa, and you can't believe that just happened. What? Okay, so you'll surprise yourself right out of that moment when it happens, and then you'll go, oh, darn, I missed it because I let it surprise me, and I let it take me out of the moment. So all you have to do is go, okay, now that I'm ready I'm prepared, I get what this feels like. I've got a sense of it. When it happens the next time, and I invite it to happen again, when it happens the next time, I'm going to be open for it. I'm going to know it's okay and it won't scare me, all right? That's when you hold on to the connection, keeping the plug in the wall, that universal energy connection, and you will be building on this bridge you have with your guides and all that is.
I think I just had a parenting revelation as I was thinking about this.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's go back to the baby. Baby comes in with a natural connection, is in the flow, is doing everything with their guides. Okay?
Right.
Now,
it's like a continuum that never stopped for them.
Right. They came in with it.
It just kept going.
It was natural.
Right.
So the stress is caused by outside forces, which we'll call normal parenting. Okay? And that's what starts interfering with the baby's present moment.
Right.
Okay?
They call it waking up.
Right.
The parent will say, wake up, snap out of that. You know, right? Remember that in school? Go ahead.
All right, so they're going to start, the parents are going to start telling you what to do and how to act and what not to do. And that usually happens about 2 years old. The what?
The terrible twos.
The terrible twos. All of a sudden, this little baby becomes a terrible little monster. Why? Because the parent is now interfering and the baby is losing the connection.
Right.
And that's the beginning of the baby losing the connection that they came in with to their spirit guides and angels.
And they're fighting.
They're not doing everything now with their spirit guides.
Right, right, right.
The parents are interfering,
right,
trying to show them different ways, and the kids just start screaming.
Well, what happens is the kid has this connection that can't even communicate, let alone, you know, tell the parent that it knows something that the parent forgot. Because the parent doesn't remember what it experienced when they were a baby. They're so separate from that. And what the parent to back up the parent's just trying to get the child to acclimate to this world so it can function in this world. Okay, so the burden on the parent is so large. You know, the kid has to grow up in this world. It's got to behave properly. It has to have manners. It has to go to school, and it has to be able to concentrate. It has to get good grades, or it won't have, you know, it won't be able to graduate to the next level and go to college and get a good job and all this kind of pressure that's on the parent that the child has no idea about. But the parent is already invested in this whole lifetime of, I can't mess up as a parent. What do I do? Am I doing it right? The parent is just as confused as the kid, right? So it's like trying to sober up the child out of its world that it came from. Sober it up so it can live in this world and function. That's the whole point to that. That's the dilemma of a parent.
Right.
Okay, in defense of the parent.
Right. And that parent looks back and reflects on the lessons and what happened to them as a child with their parents, and every parent wants to be a better parent than their parents were. I mean, that's kind of like the driving motivation.
Well, and the pressures in the world are different than they were a generation ago and a generation before that.
Right. So
the parent's just doing the best that they can. It's not an easy job. That being a parent's not an easy job. So you know, I can see how that happens. How do you, as the child, go back and recover what you left on the table, what you forgot, that you were forced out of because your parent pushed you, you know, learn this, do this, you know, it really interrupted you constantly, all right, until you couldn't even think straight anymore, all right? The pressure was too much. That's where you have to go back and say, okay, breathe out what that was. Recognize what that was. Write into your journal. This is why this journal was created. Write into your journal right here what it was that knocked you off your path. What it might have been a well-meaning parent that just was drove you so hard. Or maybe they didn't drive you hard. Maybe you were just really sensitive and you just overreacted to everything. You came in with your personality too, you know? So you have to write in there, everybody's story is different. You have to write in there and journal what happened at that point in your life. You know, this has 18 of these pages that we happen to be on page number 6 right now. We've already covered 1 through 5 in the earlier videos. And we're going to go through 18 before we're done with all this. But the whole point to doing this, Ray and I doing these videos each week on My Guided Journey, is to give you added support behind your download. When you get this for free off the theyre.com website, you get this, that these videos will help support you in realizing exactly how important this is, what this is, and write it in after you have done all this, you know, understanding and listen to the videos that we've done, and really let it sink in before you start writing it in. In fact, sleep on it before you start writing it in here, because it's important that you tell it without the drama and the trauma about what happened, so you can begin to decipher it, all right, and have it in writing. Finally, put it down on paper where it's now out of the ethers and in your journal, because that's the only way. By retracing your steps, you're going to get back on your path, probably on your path for the first time in your life.
Okay. Next question. As an adult who's lost that connection because of outside pressures, societal pressures, parenting pressures, life,
you know,
normal life.
Yeah.
As an adult, what do you have to do to regain the natural connection you had as a baby? Do you have to stop listening to other people telling you how to live and how to act, what to think?
You do.
How do you do that?
How often? First, you have to retrace your steps. You have to unwind your life? This is where this comes in. My guided journey. This is why this is important to do all these steps in part 2, page 1 through 18. And that's how you do it, right? You cannot start living your life right now today when you're 33, when you're 46, when you're 52, when you're 60, I don't care, when you're 15, all right? Until you retrace those steps, because you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. And I mean for real know where you've been, not some story you make up, not some kind of, I want to say nice things. This is about telling the truth. This is about truth and love. And it's not about judging the people who raised you. It's about just telling it like it happened, so you can begin to objectively see it for yourself and go, okay, I have a starting point now. I have more intelligence around what happened in my life. So I've got a starting point now where I can start to make intelligent moves going forward. And when you do that, when you finally finish this little book, you get to the part 3. And this is where each one of these, you print these out as many as you want, and this is where you document what's going on in your dreams, when you get insights, when you're in the shower and you get insight in the shower, you're driving somewhere and all of a sudden you get these great ideas or these warnings or whatever, all right? And you start to document what's coming to you, and in your journal, date it, and there's a whole little schedule here that lets you know how you got this information, how you knew it was your guides, what it felt like, and what you did to act on it or not, okay? It lets you, it's like your own inner evaluation system to see how you're doing as you move through it. This is powerful.
Well, the toughest part about any journal and what you experience in life or what guidance you have come through is being able to clearly write it down exactly how it happened. Because 5 years or 10 years from now, when you ask people to recall what happened in a certain period of time in their life, most of them remember how they would have liked it to turn out rather than how it actually happened.
And that's not the kind of writing you're doing in this. You're doing, I always say that the one thing that the guides always present me with, and it's always exactly right on each time, is what they show me or what they tell me is exactly what's going on. It's not what I wanted necessarily. I don't always want to hear what they told me because it's not always what I wanted it to be, okay? Even I can tell you that. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want that person to think that. I didn't want to have to change jobs because I knew that my time was up there because, I'm still making money at it. I mean, right? Okay, whatever it is, the guides will let you know. They'll come right in and go, here's where it is right now. They tell you just like it is. They don't worry about your ability to handle it. That's your problem. I know that sounds rough. I know that sounds harsh. But they didn't come here to baby you. They came here, they love you. They're with you unconditionally. They're every time you ask, they're there and they'll answer your questions and your concerns. But they are here to help you live the life you intended before you got here. They're coming from your soul's desire. to see that you achieve that. So whatever little, human little frailty that we have, or some little idea how we want it to be right now, but I want that. They don't care about all that little whiny stuff. They don't think about it. That's human nonsense, okay, as far as they're concerned. So expect to get the truth because that's what you're going to get when you have this relationship with your guides. It's always what you got when you learned this, when you have this communication bridge and this connection to your guides that was so strong as you first came into this life, that we talk about in this journal to help you remember what that was. And they're not here to ever hurt you. But there'll be times when they'll tell you things that you may not want to hear. And get over it. That's all I can say. Get over it. Like Ray said, write it into your journal before you start making it up. Before you start distorting what came through and you make it into something that you wanted it to be instead of what they told you. That's critical.
When people go back and remember things that happened to them in previous years, decades, or when they were children, and they recant it to somebody else of how they would have liked it to turn out. This creates a continuum of storytelling.
And lies.
And well, I didn't want to say that, but storytelling.
Right.
It's basically lies.
Embellishments.
Right. And then these lies become the glue that keeps them stuck in their life.
That keeps them stuck in the past.
Right.
Yeah. You see it all the time. In fact, when you really see this, is you see it with people who get older. The older people get, the more they make it up. They forget all the other stuff,
They tell the same stories over and over.
And what does it do to the older people when you see them do that? They're fogged over.
Right.
You can't wait for them to go home, okay? Like the grandparents or whatever. You can't wait because you're living in the real world. You can't have that in your world. You can't get away with that in your world, in your day-to-day life. So you really don't want to hear all that. So you don't want to live it either, okay? That's why this has been created, is to help you learn how I learned what I did and how I was able to achieve the things I did because of the help from my spirit guides and angels that I received on a daily basis and do to this day. I don't know, you guys, I don't know what I would have done without them. They've made so much sense throughout my life. In fact, they're the only ones that have ever made any real solid sense to me, really. And they've told me things in Guided that you'll read about it, if you haven't read the book already, where they told me things I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear that my marriage at 19 years old wasn't going to work out. Really? That's what they told me. They said, you're going to, it's time for you to make your own way. Your marriage isn't going to work out. It was just as simple as that. Boom, boom,
They're
boom.
real matter of fact, aren't they?
They are, and they told me like it was. And I sat back and I thought about it because, of course, I had this relationship with them since I was 20 months old, right? I knew that they knew what they were talking about. I always knew that they saw things I couldn't see that were coming years in advance, all right? So, in fact, it was 26 years old before I actually realized what they were saying and got a divorce in that marriage, right? But I didn't see it at 19. No way did I see that. But they gave me the warning so that by the time I did get divorced at 26, I was solid on my feet, a woman able to take care of herself. It didn't devastate me because I had my own identity. They knew what I needed, all right? And I had worked through my anger issues brilliantly because they don't just perform on one thing. They always see more than you do. That's going on that needs healing in your life, So they are the best friends. When I talk in Guided about her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches, that says it as good as I could ever say it. And they still are. And they always will be.
Well, let's clear up about this writing in the journal, clear up the difference between your wants, what you want, and what you need. What's the difference? Want that.
Okay. So when you need something and you ask for that, that's an experience. When you want something, that's like extra. That's like cream on top of the ice cream, the cherry on top. that's just a little bit more, that's when you're asking for lessons. So that's the difference between what you need and what you want. What you want is the extra, and what you need, you really need, okay? You need to feed your family. You need to have a job. You know, you need those things. So that's, and when you have those things, you experience what goes along with that. But when you want something, I want a new car, I want a big house, I want another baby, I want, okay? That's when you open yourself up to lessons, and it's okay to have those lessons. There's nothing wrong with the lessons. We're here in this world, and this is your free will to choose to learn what you need to learn. That's why you're here, all right? Nothing's wrong with that. But just remember, when you want something, it's over and above, you know what you need, but what you want is like more and extra. Just be careful what you ask for, because
What you want.
you know, and what you think you want, you know, like some people will say, I want a relationship, I really want a okay, wait a second, whoa, okay, if you want a relationship and you go out and you really want one, then you're going to go chase a relationship. Most of the time, that's what's going to happen, is you're going to chase the relationship because you want it, okay? Well, that's not how it works. How it works is it comes, what's really yours comes to you. What's really yours is not something you go out and chase and grab and bring home, all right? What's yours is what you learn to become on your own, how you become a better person, how you know who you are. And from that, you attract to you that equal energy. So it will find you. You don't have to go out looking for it. Now you can go out, let's say you want a relationship, and you don't want to chase it, but you don't want to just sit at home on your bum and do nothing about getting out to meet people. Well, you need to go out and meet people. So you go out and you're true to yourself. You don't go out dancing if you hate dancing just to meet people. If you go out, you do something that you like to do. Maybe you like to go to a concert, or maybe you like to go to a museum, or maybe you like to go roller skating or something like that. Something you like to do that's already who you are. Then when you meet somebody where you go, then now you are more in sync with that type of person and them with you. That's more honest. So if that does find you there, you're not out hunting for it, but if it finds you there, it's more likely that you're going to be lined up with that person than had you gone to some kind of an event or you know, dancing party or whatever that wasn't you. So you have to be true to yourself. If you're true to yourself and you put yourself in those situations and you're working on yourself and you're aware, you're not just going through life, but you're growing through your life, you're understanding what's going on as you're doing it, then you're going to be more than fine. You're going to have a rewarding life.
A concrete example that I can think of is wanting a fancy sports car. Okay, I want a fancy sports car, and I knew I couldn't afford one, so I bought a used one. So
Justification.
I want a fancy sports car. I want that experience, and what the experience became was a repair nightmare. So that was the lesson that told me that I probably should never want another sports car. I got it out of my system. I mean,
right.
That's the only purpose it served.
Well, what purpose did it serve?
Got it out of my system.
Okay, that's right. That's called the lesson. So did the lesson serve its purpose?
It did, but I would have had a better life if I hadn't wanted it so badly.
Okay, so that's regret, is what that is.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know that would be a regret for me. I think that I like to, once I learned something one time, right, you guys, once you learn that, you don't have, there could have been 10 other options to learn a lesson, But you learned it that one time from that one experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have to experience any more of the lessons that would be similar to it. Like, okay, let's say a new car, a brand, that sports car. Okay, what's another thing you could have done? Like a really expensive flat, like a great apartment or a great home or something like that, and something that was extravagant, way over your budget. Okay, and so you bought, in this case, it'd be a fixer-upper, right? But still, it was that it's extravagance, right? So all you had to do is throw a couple $100,000 into it, and it would be just like that house you always dreamed of, that you wanted. Okay, but still, it was a money pit. Okay, it still sucked the money out of you. By the time you were done, if you were married on top of it all and had kids and whatever, the stress it put on everybody, and then God forbid should you have lost your job under all that pressure. You once you pull out of it, or the market conditions changed, and by the time you were ready, you were panting. You couldn't handle, the mortgage payment anymore, the insurance, the taxes, the maintenance. You were ready to sell it. Now the market changed, the real estate market, and your property, dropped a couple $100,000, and you can't even get your money out of it. So it's like, let's hope your lessons aren't so extreme. Well, so the car was a small lesson.
Yeah, and your choice of words there, fixer-upper, was good because it kept breaking down, and I fixed it. Well, I'll just fix it and it'll run, some more. And then it broke down again, and it broke down again, and it keeps breaking down. That's the same thinking that people put in their relationships. They think they can fix them. I'll hang on a little longer. I'll try to fix it. I'll try to fix it again.
Is your relationship
a fixer-upper?
Right. So you just have to take a look at it. And if your relationship's a fixer-upper, then it's not it's a lesson. It's no longer. If it's an experience, it's a compatible relationship that you don't have to work at. It works.
It's a pleasurable experience.
Yeah, it's not that everything's always easy and you guys aren't challenged with things that you have to work out and figure out. Life is not an easy, free ride. We're here to learn things, and get through it. But you've got a compatible partner who's looking in the same direction as you, and you guys together figure it out. That's great. Okay, but if you're in a fixer-upper in a relationship, whether it's the car, the house, the relationship, whatever, okay, you're already going in the wrong direction, and that's why this little journal will keep you from going down those roads that Ray was talking about, that he said his life could have been better had he known about this. I worked through it.
I did solve the sports car problem, though.
How did you do that?
I found a girlfriend who had a nice sports car.
There you go. And she had all the problems. Right. And so what happened when the car needed fixing? You just drove it into the dealership and dropped it off, and she had to pay the bills.
Right.
That's a good idea.
And she'd let me drive it,
Well, that's right.
So I had the driving experience.
Yeah, there you go. How funny is this, you guys?
Yeah. Oh, how do you get people to stop interfering in your life without being rude or obnoxious, or what do you have to do to stop them?
Okay, so
telling you what to do, telling you how to think.
Okay, so here's what happened. It's actually your fault. The reason they do that, because the relationship started with you letting them do that, because you still didn't know who you were. So since you didn't know who you were and you didn't have any better idea at the time, they come along and they tell you what to do and how to think. Well, that worked out for a while. A lot of institutions are based on that. Schools are, religion, what else?
Corporations, your jobs.
Corporation, jobs, you're right. It's all about being told what to do. And the better you do what you're told how to do, the more rewarded you get. So you get to a point in your life where you go, wait a minute, I want to do what I want to do. Hello, you just woke up. That's why you came here. That's the life you intended to live before you got here. Your life. Your rules, the way that you think, what interests you, what inspires you, right? So if you're in a job that is a dead-end job and you're not happy with it, it's just because it doesn't inspire you, and you're following their lead instead of your own. That's it. That's all.
You're not passionate about it.
That's all there is to it. That couldn't get more honest. You guys, that's called guidance. All right? That's your guidance coming through, telling you the truth. Now, did you want to hear that truth? Did you really want to hear it? Because it's really going to be inconvenient. Now you've got to, I don't know, find a new mate, get out of the relationship, find a new job. You need to bail out on the stuff that you owe money on. That doesn't bring you pleasure anymore.
That's why people keep those jobs. But
keep
Linda,
being,
I have to find another job that pays at least as much as this job because I have bills to pay.
Right. Because here's what happened, you guys. You set yourself up for everyone expecting you to perform on a certain level because they told you what to do, how to do it, whatever. And you didn't know any better, so you just went with it. I mean, okay, I'll do that. I don't know anything better to do right now since I don't know who I am, so I'll just go ahead and go with that. Then one day what happened is you picked up enough of these kind of books. Right. You picked up enough of these books and you got yourself to realizing that I'm not being true to myself. This is my life. I kind of resent the things that everyone expects from me, and I can't do it anymore. It's too much stress. I can't even wake up in the morning to face another day. So that's when you realize that the rules have changed, okay? It's not their rules anymore. It's your rules. And you don't even know how to put that together because you've never lived your life like that before. You've always taken orders. You've always gone by somebody else's rules. You've always followed the rules, right? But now you're beginning to feel that urge where you know more is going on. And you want to pursue that and understand that and follow that and perfect that. Now you're going to have to, as you move through it, you're beginning and you start waking up to who you are and why you're here. Now you're going to have to inform those people that you pulled into your life and made all these promises. Where are you? Is it just a job? That's not too hard to walk away from and recreate yourself. Or is it a marriage with kids and mortgages and school loans and everything that you got yourself into, right? As life goes on. How do you let them know that you changed your mind? You know now, you know more is going on than you ever thought before. And you can't live just over here. You need to pull this back in so you can live a full life. You can live a oneness, a connected life, okay? Not a separate life, not a lie. How do you do that? You have to inform those around you gently that that things are changing for you, that you are realizing some things. You're in a process, that you're not going to be there. You're going to be in class, in dream class on Wednesday night. You're going to be working on some of this so that you've got some time to do it. You're going to need an hour alone or 2 hours alone every night just to do your reading, do your work. In the morning, write down your dreams. Those things are important, critical to your understanding of your life, why you're here, who you are, and what your highest purpose is while you're here. Why else would you bother? So that's what you need to do. You need to be gentle with those people that you drug into your life before you knew who you were. How about that? Because that's what happened. You didn't know it. You were innocent. You did not know you were doing that. But that's what you did. So now you have to, in order to be true to yourself, as you learn to bring this back to life and keep your life intact, okay, just let them know that you're doing this. And some of them will have a problem with it. Some of them will fight you. Some of them will be offended by the fact that, hey, you used to take me to soccer every Saturday. I want you there. Well, I can't do it. Enjoy yourself, but I'm working on this too. You're bringing yourself back to life. Because if you don't do it, you guys, here's what's going to happen. If you've got this calling, if you don't patch your life back up again and pull it back together, you're going to live a life of regret. And that's when we when we come here, we live, love, and leave, right? Well, when we leave on our exit out of here, the peace within which we leave in that moment when we move on, we don't leave in peace if we have regrets. You can't do that to yourself. You know what? You can't do that to the people that care about you that are here. Even if they don't understand what it takes for you to do this, you've got to be true to yourself. You've got to do it. You're going to think that you're being selfish. Selfish is when you're over here and you're trying to gobble everything up and you're being consuming and you don't get just what you need, but now you have all the stuff you want. Okay, and it's all filled with that. Okay, and it's all about me, 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 and that's selfish. This is not selfish. This is balanced, and this is an example, showing your kids and your husband and everybody, your wife or whatever, showing them how you patched your life back up again, how you pulled it together. You become the example for them. Did you know how to explain it? No. They watched you stumble, fall, cry. They watched you write in your journal, and work on it and figure it out and explore what was missing, what you left behind, okay? They watch and they learn, and they too will realize that this is the world, just living in a world just separate in this one world, in this, duality, this temporary home that we're in is not all there is, and that there's so much more going on. And you did it. It's like you took the arrows in your back so they don't have to. That's what this is like. So don't be afraid to step into it. And you know what you can tell these guys that are in your life that you drug into all this, that before you knew who you were and now you're learning who you are, and please forgive me, but I need some time to pursue this so I can pull myself back together again and be more than I was before. You were happy with me over here. You're going to be crazy for me when I get this all figured out. I mean, that's what this is going to take. So it's a payoff. It's a bigger payoff than you think. Don't worry about what they think, because they don't know. They only know basically the raw, world we live in. They don't even know what this is. They forgot what this is. So somebody has to start getting the ball rolling. It will be you.
Somebody has to be an example.
Yep, it may as well be you.
All right, so if we could wrap this up. When you start thinking for yourself again and stop listening to the people who got you off track in the first place and told you what to do and told you how to think, you start eliminating the stresses in your life one by one. And you bring yourself back to the present moment, and you get back into the flow of the present moment, and you reestablish the spiritual connection that you had that was based on curiosity, exploration, and this is the one you started with. This is what you started with in this life. So you're working your way back to that one.
To which one, Ray?
The one you brought with you. The connection you brought with
you. Okay, right.
And you're getting back to the curiosity.
Right.
To the exploration.
You're opening up. Right.
To looking at the gifts and talents that
right.
you brought with you. Because you bring everything with you. Everything you need.
That's right.
You don't have to go to college and get another degree and another degree and another degree. And how many jobs have you ever had to walk away from where you worked for somebody else?
I never have worked for someone else.
You've never had a job? No, Linda has worked for herself only since she was 19.
I can't help it. See, when you're following your guidance, I can't help it. And I will tell you, there's consequences. Like I just explained to you, the ones that are in your life now as you pursue this, they're not going to be crazy about you doing this and spending some time over here and getting this together. But they will learn, and you will be the example. So I was going to use an example there. Oh yeah, throughout my life, I had plenty of people who resented me for following my guidance, okay? I had a lot of it. Did it stop me? I didn't. I hardly noticed it. I hardly noticed it, because it's just like the baby. When you work through this workbook, My Guided Journey, Just like the baby. The baby doesn't notice when it's learning and it's pursuing things and it's trying this and playing with that. And then someone comes over and says, what are you doing? And who are you talking to? The baby doesn't think about how you're going to deal with it. All right? So you shouldn't be too worried about how they're going to deal with it. If you really are serious about reconnecting over here, because you have to be more like that baby. You have to go back to that baby where it didn't even recognize that they had a problem. Oh, you have a problem with that? It's just like your guides. If they're going to tell you things that are great, you're going to love to hear it, all right? They're going to tell you things that you go, oh boy, I didn't expect that. Okay, it sounds like I need to make some changes. So you didn't want to hear that, right? Because now you have to do some things. Some people will take that guidance and they'll just go, it never happened. But down the road, guess what happens? It becomes a compounding problem. And lesson after lesson starts to show up. So if you want a life of experiences, okay, as opposed to a life of lessons, then you need to start working on this relationship. And this smart little journal right here, companion journal to guided, my guided journey, is exactly why this was created. It's the fast track to get you there. But you've got to watch these videos to help you work through each one of these, page 1 through 18, part 2, so that you really can wrap your brain around what this takes for you to get really honest about and straightforward about what you need to write into those pages, so you can begin to journal what's really going on in your life and put it down, like Ray said earlier, exactly as it happened. Not what you make up, not what you want it to be, all right? Because that's what gets people in trouble over here. You've noticed that people in this world, they'll say something and you'll go, and you were there when whatever they're talking about happened, and you'll go, that didn't happen. That's not what happened. How could they say that? It's because when you're disconnected, when you're just over here, and that's all they have, and they don't know this, and they're not connected, they can't be real. They can't be honest. They're not connected, okay? They're afraid. They're defending something. They're trying to embellish on something because they know something's missing. There is a disconnect. That's why people do that.
And when people tell you, well, that'll never work, what that really means is that they're afraid that it will work.
Now,
and they don't want to put the work into it to make it.
Okay.
They know that that's the right guidance.
There you go.
That'll never work. Well,
yeah, it's a way to push it away.
Right, they're afraid that, well, it will work.
You can't just have what's called, you've heard people say, well, that person has selective listening. They don't listen unless they want to hear it, right? Well, this would be selective guidance. They only hear the guidance they want to hear, and the rest of it, they go, oh, I don't want to hear that. Okay, so, that's another thing about this journal. It'll keep you honest. It'll keep you from veering off in that direction, because believe me, there's a real problem with that. And people, you do this, and you're true to yourself, and you're steadfast and true, and you keep this journal going, and in chronological order, date it, and it's all laid out for you to do that. It's all here. You do that, and you will catch yourself when you try to kid yourself going forward. What you'll do is you'll just go, I'm not going to even talk. Or you'll have friends trying to draw you in, trying to, get you to say something that didn't happen, because that's what they want you to. They want you to be involved in their group thinking, or the way you guys used to be. Okay, old friends and stuff that you used to kid yourselves and make things up and talk about this guy or that guy or this girl and that girl and make it all up. And none of it was. Very little of it was true. It was more ego based and more. It was nonsense. You got to pull out of that. You got to stop kidding yourself. If you're going to pull these together, you've got to stop overindulging in this.
Well said. So if you haven't downloaded the journal yet, please go to lindadeir.com
Yep, and get
and
it there.
download your free journal. It's in 2 sizes, the little size, the half size, or the full 8.5 by 11 size. Fits in standard binder or the half size binder. It's well thought out, well put together. It's going to help you remake the connection that society has driven you out of.
Well, yeah, and you know, you got scared out of it.
Yeah.
A lot of you got scared out of it, and you just forgot it was there. But as you move through this, and you make the connection, you'll notice that you become calmer, and you'll become more like your guides. You'll just be more consistent and more available for the people who thought you were kind of crazy over here when you were working through this. They'll be the ones that are frazzled and looking for answers. And guess who's going to be there for them?
You are.
You are. So
you become just like the people you hang out with.
yeah, and you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to help those guys. So, you know, just be patient with the whole process. It's a process. But you do get through it, and you do get back to your life, the one you intended to live before you got here. So I have written a series of videos in support of the readers of my guided journey, the companion journal to my flagship book, Guided. Each week on Facebook Live, I talk about your journey back to the beginning, when you first made contact with your spirit guides and angels. They haven't gone anywhere, even when you ignored them or didn't realize they were there. In these Thursday Facebook Live videos with me, you learn how to journal your hidden knowledge, documenting your life journey, revealing who you are and why you are here. When you follow this, you not only get your life back, but you will never doubt yourself again. So we'll see you guys next week. Get the journal. Tell your friends.